desires. Now, I'm going to take a familiar passage, but listen to what I'm going to try to show you here. We all know, I think 2 Timothy 3:16, all Scripture is breathed out by God and useful for teaching, rebuking, and correcting, and for training in righteousness. Okay, so think about this. In the text that says all Scripture is inspired by God, it mentions it's there to train us in righteousness explicitly, right? So righteousness is attached to the Bible right there. Then listen to what it says a few verses later. Paul says to Timothy, preach this word, preach it. This word that leads to righteousness, preach the word. Be ready in season and out of season. Why? For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching. Why not? Because sound teaching leads to righteousness. And if I don't want righteousness in my desires, then I don't want sound teaching in my ears. You get that? If I don't want righteousness in my desires, in my heart, then I don't want to hear it in my ears. So now they have itching ears, the audience. The time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to what? Suit their own passions, to tell them what their flesh and their sin nature wants to hear. Not true righteousness, but some kind of false righteousness, to justify their sinful desires. And that's why false teachers exist. Do you know that? False teachers exist so that my flesh can be gratified and not slain. That's why false teachers exist. My flesh can be coddled. My flesh can be kept and blessed by God. I can baptize my sinful nature and bless it with false doctrine so that I can not feel bad about the sinful impulses in my heart. That's the underpinning desire for false doctrine. And the very next thing Paul says, he says, they will turn away from listening to truth and wander off into myths. And then he says, as for you, endure suffering, do the work of an evangelist, fulfill your ministry. These things fit together.